Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. My name is Monica, and today I wanted to give you guys my first impressions and some info about the brand new Makeup Revolution and Corpse Bride collab. So I have to admit, not many like collab palettes or things really get me, but when it's like the spooky aesthetic, as you can see, I kind of jump in. So what I did is I actually purchased the 4 eyeshadow palettes that Makeup Revolution put out in this collection. When I placed my order, it was like the day it came out and all the lipsticks were already sold out. But looking at their website now, it looks like the lipsticks are back in stock along with the 2 other accessories, the makeup bag, the brushes, and the cute little mirror. So what I want to do in this video is give you guys a rundown of just mainly the eyeshadow palettes, because to be frank, that's kind of what I was most interested in when I saw this collab kind of drop. Look at the eyeshadow palettes, do some swatches, do a couple of looks, and give you like my first impressions whether or not I think it was worth it to pick up these palettes, and if you guys should pick them up for your spooky season. I will have timestamps down below with the looks, the swatches, and everything, so if you want to jump around, you can. Alright, so let's start with what I picked up. First, let's do the mirror, this cute little mirror. This mirror retails for $15, and to be frank, was it too much? Yes. But is it adorable? Yes, I like this little mirror. It's really, really cute. I wish it had like a hole here that I could either hang it up or like put a rope through it to hang something up, but it's just cute. And to be frank, I'm probably going to put it on display somewhere back here with the rest of my spooky stuff. So for me, it was worth it, but to the average person, I think it's just overpriced for like a standard mirror. The first 2 eyeshadow palettes I want to talk about are these 2 little 9 pans. So this first one is called Grave Misunderstandings, and it looks like this, and it's a warm toned kind of palette. The second palette is called the Newlyweds, and I think looking at all the palettes on the website, this is the one I was most excited about because of the really pretty blue color story. Both of these palettes, the small 9 pans, retail for $12. The next palette I picked up was this butterfly palette. They just call it the butterfly eyeshadow palette, and it retails for $20. And it's got the butterfly shaped mirror, and this is the color story. This has the smallest pan size of any of the palettes, and I think probably the most varied color story except for the last palette. And the last palette is this one right here, aptly called the Upstairs and Downstairs eyeshadow palette, which if you haven't seen the movie, a lot of this probably doesn't make any sense to you, but we've got like the upper world, the regular world, and the underworld. And then you open it up like this. And I have to admit, it looks really cute. It's got like cute quotes from the movie in here, but I don't know how I feel about an eyeshadow palette opening like this. And this one was the most expensive, retailing at $25. And I don't think I mentioned this, but I did purchase all of these palettes in the mirror the day the collection dropped, directly from the Makeup Revolution website. Alright, so now that we have a quick intro of all the palettes, let's go ahead and jump into close-ups and some swatches. Those are the palettes and their swatches. I have to say, like, I was very impressed by the upstairs downstairs swatches. I really wasn't expecting a whole lot like from this color story, if I'm being frank, and then also the Makeup Revolution kind of quality, but I think this is the one I'm probably most excited to actually dig in and use. So I think I'm gonna save this for maybe Yeah, I'm gonna save this for look number 3 because I think I can do a really cute pink look with like these pink tones. I am going out, our anniversary is tonight, and what I'm going to do is, since I have a bare face and I've got 2 eyes here, I want to use 2 palettes, 1 on each eye here, then I'm gonna wash it all off, do a full face of makeup, and come back to do one other full look, just to try as many of the palettes as I can all at once. So I think we're gonna save the upstairs downstairs to use for last. For now, I think I'm going to take the 2 9-pan palettes and do 1 on each eye. But like I was mentioning before, I was really impressed by the swatches of the upstairs downstairs palette. I have to say, I was a bit disappointed in the butterfly palette. The shadows just felt very, very dense and dry, and they really did not swatch the greatest. I think they swatched the poorest out of all the palettes. And these 2 9-pans, I think they swatched right in the middle. I was actually really surprised at how pigmented the blues were in here, and it didn't stain, but when I swatched, the blue did stay for a little bit, so we'll see how that goes on the eye. But I think, let's do the warm toned palette first on this eye, and then we'll do the blue. So I think I'm gonna do like the pinky kind of orange look here. So let's jump in first with the shade Alfred. We'll use this as my transition. And while I'm doing this, I don't know if you can see it back here in the backdrop, but that bouquet, that's actually the Corpse Bride bouquet from the costume from Spirit Halloween. I really wanted to pick up like a Corpse Bride costume for Halloween, even though we're not really doing anything, right, for Halloween. But I just really like the Corpse Bride and basically just about everything Tim Burton, right? Like anything spooky. But I love the accessories. Like I love buying like accessories and decor from Spirit Halloween and then just keeping it up year round because this is how my apartment is decorated. But I love buying the decor and everything there. So I did pick up a few things from Spirit Halloween. I had to get them online because honestly in store, just because of COVID, so many things are just not available in store. So I picked up the headband, actually. This is actually the Corpse Bride headband, also from the costume, and the bouquet over there. What else did I pick up from Spirit Halloween? I picked up, the journal, Handbook for the Recently Deceased. That's actually a journal I picked up because I just really liked it and I wanted to put it in the background. And I also got a coffee mug. I'll throw a picture right here. I got a coffee mug that's also the Handbook of the Recently Deceased, and it's like my new favorite coffee mug. Okay, so I have to say, it took me a bit just to build that color up, and it's like that much on my like light complexion. I don't know about that. Let's go in next with the shade Bones Apart. It's kind of the same shade. Or it's appearing very similar on the eye. Okay, let's try going in with the orange shade, the shade Maggot then. Okay, it's a bit lighter. I was hoping it would pull a little darker orange. I'm going to take the shade Black Widow, which is kind of like that maroon looking shade, and see if I can get... So what I'm trying to do is like actually build some dimension here, but a lot of the shades are the same kind of like lightness, so it's hard to build anything up. Like as I'm filming this, I have like the entire soundtrack from the Corpse Bride movie stuck in my head, and it's lovely. I'm going to use for shimmer, I want to use the shade Scissorhead all over my lid, and I think I'm going to go in with the glitter glue first. I'm gonna use the NYX glitter glue. So have you guys seen the Corpse Bride movie? It's one of my favorites. I watch it like every fall. There's like a list of like movies and shows that I really want to rewatch like every fall, every October, just because fall is my favorite season. Absolute favorite season. So like my top movies to like rewatch, of course, like Hocus Pocus. I really like Hocus Pocus. I really like Over the Garden Wall. Is adorable. I've been watching that every fall since my boyfriend first showed it to me. Oh, that doesn't go up on top of glitter glue well. And phone, how rude. Wow, I have to say that's actually kind of a first. Wow, that shimmer did not like that glitter glue at all. Like, I've never seen like a shimmer shade feel like hard pan already. Like it feels like I've hit hard pan and like not apply well on top of this glitter glue. Okay, so there's that eye. To be frank, I'm feeling a little meh about that palette so far. So let's put that down and let's move on to the Newlywed Palette and play with some blues. Okay, so I kind of want to go from the lilac to like the dark blues. So I'm going to start out with the shade Newlyweds up here. And let's see how this applies as a transition. That is very light and very sheer. I mean, it's pretty, but I kind of want a little bit more pigmentation here. Okay, so there's a ton of fallout, and I have to say, even after building it up, it's just very light and very sheer and not kind of what I wanted out of like that lilac shade. I'm probably gonna go mostly like over it. So let's go with this light blue shade in the middle called Not Mine. See if we can get some color here. That's pretty on the brush. Let's see. Ooh. All right, that's a pretty shade. Yeah, that should have been my transition. That's pigmented. That's bright. Okay, so now that we actually have that, let's stick with the middle. So I'm gonna go with this kind of deep blue shade up top called Hopscotch. That's looking really pretty. Like, this palette is blending out really nicely, and I like these shades. Except for the lilac. All right, just to deepen up a little bit more right here, I'm gonna go in with the bottom shade called Enthusiasm. Take a little bit right here. All right, I want to go with the shade The Groom all over my lid, but because I had such a bad reaction with the glitter glue on this side, I'm just gonna go in with my finger and see how it applies. And you barely see it. Okay, let's try the shade Love Triangle down here. Huh. Oh, there we go. We got color. We got pigment. Alright, I went back in with the shade The Groom just for my inner corner highlight, and it looks much better there. Alright, and this is the final look, or looks of the first two palettes. I have to say, honestly, like, the dark and deep blues came out really, really nice and were really pigmented and blended well. The shimmers leave a lot to be desired, so I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the shimmers, but overall, like, I got cute looks. I would totally go outside looking like this. It's so much fun, isn't it? Alright, so let me wash this off and do a full face of makeup, and we'll be back to play with the other palettes. Alright, and we are back. I have my full face of makeup on except for eyeshadow, and I really want to dig into the Upstairs Downstairs palette. And like I said earlier, I'm actually going to be wearing a black and pink dress later tonight when we go out, so I kind of want to dig into all of these like really pretty pinks here. And then depending on how the look turns out, there's a few shades in here that I also kind of want to bring into and then depending on how the look comes along, I might bring in a couple of shades from the Butterfly palette as well. Alright, so I want to start with the shade Upstairs, and then I'm going to go into the darker pink Elder Gutnicht, and then we're going to go into the dark pink The Wedding. Just very, very pinky. And there's no mirror in here, so I'm going to use my cute little mirror that I got. I like the tone of this shade. It's like perfect, like in between like pink and purple. And I'm going to go a little bit dramatic with the eye look today. Let's go all the way up. Also, while I was off doing like the full face of makeup, I might have been rocking out to the soundtrack from The Corpse Bride because the songs are really good, I gotta admit, and they're super catchy. One downside I'm seeing from every palette so far is that there's just a lot of fallout. You can see right here, because you really have to like, I mean, what I normally do is I would go into a shade and like tap off the excess. This is what I do whenever you see my arm going out like that. But like you almost have to go in with all of that excess on the brush in order to get some decent pigmentation, but then you get fallout. And it's really up in the air whether or not that fallout is going to stain. So a little mad about that. I have to say, as much as I don't like the fallout, at least it's not staying. It does brush away with a little dual fiber brush, and the shades themselves are beautiful. These are really pretty and they're blending together like really nicely. For my lid shimmer, I'm going to go with the shade Vows, which is just kind of like a medium, almost dark pink kind of shimmer, and I'm just going in with it on my finger because I've been having those troubles with the previous palettes. Well, that doesn't look too bad. Load that up right there. Oh, it looks really pretty. To accent that pink from the Butterfly palette, I'm going to use the shade Grave. It's also kind of a hot pink, and I'm going to focus that just kind of like on the middle lid. Wow, and I'm barely getting anything. Like, I can tell there's like an immediate difference between the shimmer from this palette and the shimmer from the Butterfly palette. It's like, it's a grittier shimmer, and it does not apply as nicely, and it feels worse quality. So I think you can definitely tell like a big quality jump, like a big jump in quality, a big difference in quality between the Butterfly and the Upstairs Downstairs palette. Yeah, that goes on like sandpaper. Ugh. Alright, for the lower lash line, I really wanted to do like a red. I think that would just look really cool and kind of tie in with the pink. So I'm going to use a combination of the shade Bouquet from the Upstairs Downstairs palette and the shade Liberation from the Butterfly palette, which I thought at first that they were kind of similar, but this one is definitely like a brighter, lighter kind of red, whereas the Bouquet in the Upstairs Downstairs palette is more of like a true maroon. So let's see how that turns out. You know, the dark maroon shade isn't looking up so red on the eye itself. Yeah, that red is almost blending in with the pink. It doesn't look red, it just looks pink. There we go. So that shade from the Butterfly palette actually came in clutch and looks red. Like, that's the kind of red I was actually looking for. Thank you. And for inner corner highlight, I'm going to go with this light kind of peachish kind of shade called Betrayal from the Upstairs Downstairs palette. All right, and this is the final look using the last two palettes. And I have to say, while it was a slight bit of a struggle, I'm actually really happy with the final result. I think this is such a cute, well, for me, date night, anniversary night out look. I love like the red lower lash line, and like honestly those like pinky purples blended out so nicely. It's almost like Barbie on the top. I like it. It looks really cute. So overall, my first impressions on all of the palettes. First, the mirror. It's cute. I think it's really just for decoration. $15 for a mirror is a lot. $15 for a cute home decor item. To me, that's worth it, but it's just a mirror. Next, the two 9pan palettes. Personally, I like the packaging and everything, and I think the majority of the shades are like worth it, but like those light shades that you really have to build up like the intensity for, I was kind of shocked, especially when it came over to the blue palette, like that lilac. I was expecting so much more out of that lilac. So if you go in here expecting really only the darker shades to work well, I think this would be worth it. But if you're getting this specifically for the lilac or for the lighter like matte shades, you're going to be disappointed. As for the Butterfly palette, to be frank, it's kind of shocking how big of a difference there is in the quality of these shadows versus the rest of the palettes. And if I knew that going into it, I wouldn't have bought this palette. Frankly, I kind of regret it, but I'm going to go ahead and like test out the rest of the shades, see how they work, but in relation to the rest of the palettes, not my favorite. And you know, this one, the Upstairs Downstairs palette, I was actually pretty surprised by it. I had the lowest expectations for this one because I thought it was too big and I didn't like the way that it opened like that, but really the color story, the more I'm looking at it, the more it's growing on me, because like this looks like the color palette for the underground, for the underworld of the movie, and it looks really, really cute. And I have to say, I really like the pinks and purples that I used, though it seems like some of the shades are kind of duds. So this one's going to require more testing, but overall, it's already kind of exceeded my expectations. So there we have it. Those are all of my first impressions. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see me actually fully review these, because I will later on down the line, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months. I don't think I'll do a dedicated review video, but I'll definitely include them either in a palette-specific review roundup or in one of my larger eyeshadow palette review videos. Let me know down below if you're tempted by any of these Corpse Bride palettes, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.